Kicking off for the Tigers, Pedro Suarez, the sophomore from Hialeah, Florida, a little guy who has a potent foot. And here we go. Deep into the end zone, a few yards back goes Robert Jones, and he downs it, and Alabama will take over 1st and 10 from the 20. From the 27, 4th and 3. Tank Williamson back to punt. Lately, he's been punting the ball well. Not a bad punt. Fielded on the 35-yard line. LSU brought down immediately. Saul Graves, the senior, the 5th-year senior from Monroe, Louisiana, gets the start, and he's back to pass on 1st down. Complete over the middle to the freshman tight end Harold Bishop from Tuscaloosa. 12-12 on the clock. And it looks like they had Alabama jumping. Graves a free down, and he completes the pass. There's Mike Archer. He is on the hot seat, a record of 26-16-1. You wouldn't think so in 4 years, but at LSU, where football is king, he's on the hot seat. Another completed pass, knocked out of bounds, a gain of about 8. Nifty pass from Saul Graves. Here we are, 1st and 10. Or no, 2nd and 2, I'm sorry. And flags down everywhere as the handoff goes up the middle. Again, that is Jermaine Williams. As you can see his statistics, the 2nd leading rusher in the Southeastern Conference. There's the handoff up the middle. Broken tackle and a nice run for Jermaine Williams. Even more sensational as a sophomore till he suffered a terrible knee injury. Back to pass, rolling out is Graves, looking for a receiver and cannot find one, but he does eventually, out of bounds, and the reception. Scott Ray, another freshman, with a nice grab. 1st and 10 from the 16, 9:22 on the clock. The handoff to Harvey Williams, who busts outside, gets free for a 1st down, or at least close to it, knocked out of bounds by McMillan. Again, Alabama's defense has not allowed a touchdown in 12 quarters. Graves calls the signals and hands off to Williams, who fumbles the football, and Alabama recovers. 2nd and 9 from the 11, a gain of 1. They gave Anderson 1 on that play. Hollingsworth with a call. Turner and blocking for Chris Anderson, who again gets hit hard by LSU. But he falls forward for 5 or 6 yards.
Who hit who?
He's not a big guy, but that time he did. He lowered his shoulder.
3rd and 2. The handoff up the middle, and it looks like Alabama has a 1st down. Their 1st of the afternoon.
Just as he came off his break, we didn't catch it there, but he had stumbled just a little bit, thus a step short.
2nd and 10. The handoff to Chris Anderson, who breaks it to the outside. It gets brought down a few yards short of the 1st down.
It's Lamont Russell. He doesn't get off the linebacker. Not open.
4th and 4. Tank Williamson, his 2nd punt of the afternoon. Nails it pretty good. The fair catch called on the 35-yard line. LSU will take over. 3rd and 8. The freshman Luke back to pass. And he finds Harvey Williams over the middle. 1st down LSU. Again, great protection from the LSU offensive line. 1st and 10 from the 49. Harvey Williams pitch left. And he gets close to another 1st down. 2nd and 10 on the 34. Luke rolls out. He's going to run it. And decides just to go down without sustaining a blow. Chad Luke, the redshirt freshman. Looking it over. Harvey Williams gets the 1st down. Luke calling an audible. Changing the play at the line of scrimmage, and he's back to pass. Looks like they caught Alabama in a blitz. 1st down LSU. The completed pass to Wesley Jacob. Pedro Suarez attempts the field goal, and it's good. LSU takes the lead, 3-0, 59 seconds to go here in the 1st quarter. LSU has controlled the ball most of this 1st quarter. The pitch to Chris Anderson. And he's brought down quickly, a gain of a couple, brought down by number 23, Wayne Williams. Gary, the little shuttle pass to Robert Jones, who gets up and close to a 1st down. He does get the 1st down. 3rd and 7 from the 39. Gary gets sacked, brought down for a loss.
Once again, nobody getting open downfield.
Tank Williamson, his third punt of the afternoon. So far, he's averaging 38 yards on each punt. And this one taken on the 32-yard line by LSU and brought down. And back at quarterback is Saul Graves. Mike Archer makes another switch, and Graves goes down. Byron Holbrooks the sack. The only person he could have possibly thrown to was number 69, Andy Martin, his offensive guard. Graves again has trouble and chalked up another sack for the Tide sack exchange. Eric Curry gets his 6th of the year. And 2 other linemen out of the picture, which open things up. Chris Anderson deep for the punt. And a good kick sends Anderson all the way back to the 24-yard line. Trying to get to his wall, and he does. Breaking it free, cutting back. All the way down to the 47-yard line, Chris Anderson. 1st and 10 from the 48. The pitch to Robert Jones. Robert looking for room to roam, and he gets up a gain of 3 or 4. But here he is blocking now for Robert Jones as the pitch goes to Georgia's side, and Robert gets the first down. Florida punishing Georgia in Jacksonville 38-7. Anderson the pitch right. And it looks like he's going to go in for the touchdown. Yes, indeed. Alabama has a lead 6-3 on the run by Chris Anderson of 30 yards.
Let's give the credit on that run to Trent Patterson and Terrell Chapman. Look at them out in front. Look at the blocks they put on the LSU defenders. The best thing about those blocks, they didn't leave their feet and just dive. They stayed on their feet and gave Chris Anderson a place to go by shield blocking.
You saw the crowd. They are pumped up. Philip Doyle kicks it down to the 3-yard line, and it's fumbled a bit by Odell Beckham, who recovers nicely and eventually is brought down at about the 14-yard line.
7-8 red jerseys after the ball.
2nd and 13 from the 12. Luke back to pass, and it's complete. Close to a first down. Complete to Wesley Jacob. Loop to Jacob. 3rd and 3 from the 22. Luke back to pass. And he's sacked. George Thornton bumps him to the turf. The 3rd sack of the game for the Crimson Tide.
He did it, and he's been playing great ever since. Let's give some credit to the secondary. There was nowhere to throw to, nowhere downfield.
Brian Griffith, his 2nd punt of the afternoon. The last one was a good one, but Anderson ran it back. Jeff Mitchell now calls for the fair catch at the 33. Hollingsworth, quick count to Robert Jones again, who's brought down quickly. Gain of 3. Martin Houston lining up behind Hollingsworth.
Blitz.
And it's a first down. Steve Buskey, who always seems to catch at least one pass every game, gets the first down.
That last play.
1st and 10 from the 46. Martin Houston up the middle, hammering his way forward for a gain of 4. Martin Houston, by the way, leads the conference with an average of 6.4 yards a carry.
Seems to be struggling a little bit.
Here comes Lassick again, and he's hammered down at the 44. Looks like he'll be just short of the first down. Hollingsworth comes to the line, 4th and 1. Robert Jones falls forward. He's got it. 2nd and 10. Lamont Russell gets a first down for Alabama. He'll kick it from the 35, so make it a 45-yard field goal for Philip Doyle. And he boots it. Did he hook it a little left? He sure did. He hooked it left. Pulled it.
So that's his 2nd miss from that range this year. Hey, he kicked one at Tennessee, though.
There's the handoff up the middle. LSU stopped right at the line of scrimmage. They will be happy to go into the locker room, trailing just 7-3. Odell Beckham on the carry there. Van Tiffen on the field today as they honored the team of the decade for the University of Alabama, and Van was the last All-American kicker for the tied, and this year they're touting Philip Doyle in that same role as the All-American kicker.
And a lot of those Alabama fans, when they announced Van Tiffin's name, I think they remembered that kick he made at Birmingham against Auburn, because I think he got one of the largest ovations of any of the players that were introduced.
In 86, it was 14-10, 84, 16-14, so I think we're in store for another close ball game. The deep kick taken on the 2 by Wayne Williams, who brings it up and breaks it loose, and he's finally tackled from behind by Rip Mitchell. Alabama with that 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen, the 2 linebackers. The pitch left going to Harvey Williams. Again, strong pursuit, but Williams found a hole and gets the first down. McMillan knocks him out. Saul Graves, the quarterback. He is the senior, Loop is the freshman, and he goes deep, and it's going to be nearly intercepted. I thought it was a sure thing, but never a sure thing as it goes out of bounds.
And we have a penalty on the field. LSU being walked off there, Doug.
Tripping. Michigan hands the Fighting Illini their second loss in a row. Saul Graves. Handoff up the middle. Is that Harvey Williams? Yes, it is. Harold Bishop will punt for the 4th time today.
When people are being covered like that, you know the team has been well prepared. Bill Oliver has. LSU scouted real well and knows what they're going to do on certain situations. Thus, he's able to tell his men.
Anderson calls for the fair catch on the 14.
Establish the tempo for the rest of the half. Chances are you're going to win the game.
Maybe a future Crimson Tider watching Kevin Turner hammer forward on 1st and 10, a gain of 6. 2nd and 3, Kevin gains 7. Another handoff. Chris Anderson has the first down. He has been a solid punter.
He's gotten better and better. Look at that boomer.
Boy, what a kick. All the way down inside the 10. Alabama will get to it. Can tackle the runner on the 2-yard line. Vincent Fuller had nowhere to go. He picked up the football and got squashed on the 2. Loop in at quarterback. Dangerous pass, but complete. 3rd and 5 from the 7. 8:55 on the clock. Loop has Harvey Williams, who breaks free for the first down. Nice play up to the 23. He's thrown some safe passes, but they've been on target. 3rd and 6. He's brought down. Another sack for Eric Curry. Chris Anderson deep. Fielded at the 43, brought down immediately by Ricardo Washington. Turner and Anderson. This is Chris. The pitch back to Gary. Wide open. Interception by Wayne Williams. I said wide open because running down the left sideline by himself, Lorenzo Cole didn't have a man within 20 yards of him, and Gene is telling him. Brian Griffith will punt for the 5th time, having a good punt here. The wind behind him. Chris Anderson fields it at the 47, and he's nailed.
We may not see it anymore this season. A shame. I hear those are the best moves we've seen around this area since the days of Ricky Davis and Scott Hunter. Let's send it back up to you.
Robert Jones, the man they go to in short yardage, is right behind Gary Hollingsworth. Turner in motion. Jones, first down.
Yeah, that's a right call.
The pitch to Robert Jones, who has been a workhorse. And he darts his way up 2 yards shy of the first down, a gain of 4. 3rd and 2, Alabama 4 out of 11 on 3rd down conversions. They'd like to bring that number up, and it looks like they did. Junior Sewell falls forward for what appears to be a tied first down. Pitch right. Robert Jones cuts back. Gets close. 2 yards short of the first down. Gain of 4 for Robert. Nice cutback. First down. 2nd and 7. 24 seconds to go, third period. Kevin Turner fights his way up to the 5. Solid stand by the LSU defense. Reggie Walker and the man that Scott has been talking about, Mr. Boutte, Mark Boutte, in on the stop. Philip Doyle missed his first field goal of the day, trying a 22-yarder, and it is good. 10-7 Alabama, but for LSU, a moral victory there. That was key. Philip Doyle had been kicking him deep in the end zone last week, but this one's short on the 10. Fielded by Odell Beckham, and he's brought down to the 22-yard line. Flag down on the play. It's a clip, so they'll take it back.
You know, field position is going to be so critical for LSU right now.
The Riverboat gambler Mike Archer goes to an untested quarterback, a man who has not played all season. His first pass of the year, interception. Scott Hunter, you read it perfectly. Spencer Hammond with a big turnover. Alabama scores the touchdown. Uh-oh, what a goof.
Spencer Hammond, I tell you what, he just stepped right in front of him. There we see him. Touchdown, and I know that the Alabama defense got to feel super about that.
Alabama with a 5-yard penalty will boot it from the 30. Harvey Williams gets a shot now from the 1. Breaks it out to the 30 and run out of bounds about the 39-yard line. 11:44 to go in the ball game. The Tide by 2 touchdowns. Whoa, a high snap. He does a fine job of getting it and getting it away. That was touched by an LSU man, and he catapulted it through the end zone. Let's go down on the turf to Mike Gubberly now. Well, a not-so-game Cincinnati team will come to Birmingham next week, so it looks like the Tide, if they hold on here, would be 6-4 heading to the Auburn game. The pass to Kevin Turner. First down, Alabama.
Cheer went up, nothing happening on the field, so I'm just guessing, but a lot of the people may be listening to the Auburn game.
Flag down. Tank Williamson was hit after he punted the ball. It will be roughing the kicker, and Alabama will get a first down. The field totally engulfed in shadows now. Junior Sewell up the middle. Breaks a couple of tackles. A gain of 8 for Junior Sewell. A sophomore from Abbeville, a combination of Alabama playing well and Auburn losing, has this crowd in a frenzy. And Chris Anderson breaks it for a touchdown! Alabama, Chris Anderson, 46 yards! Well, we'll talk more about Southern Mississippi. Boy, do they deserve a lot of credit. Brian Griffith, the busiest man for LSU this half, punts again. Deep is the man of the hour, Chris Anderson, takes it on the 21, up to the 27.
Athletic Director Hootie Ingham tells me they're not going to sell this turf, so I got my scissors. Send it back to you.
Derek Lassick getting some playing time now. He's knocked out of bounds.
I want to ask Mike if Mike can find a couple of pieces of me down there if he keeps looking through that turf. I've left a couple of elbows.
On a wet day when it's muddy, I'd prefer the turf, but I think most players would prefer to play on natural grass if it's a good grass field.
And I preferred turf right up to the point where I was 32 years old in the National Football League. Jerry trying to hit him, throws a crisp pass downfield, probably put a little more air under it, let Lamont run under it, would have had 6 there.
All right, Tank Williamson with a punt back to the 18-yard line. Taking it there is Vincent Fuller, and he's brought down by a host of Alabama players around the 32-yard line.
Well, I don't think that the Auburn football team is taking on Pat Dye's personality. I really don't think it's done that. Possibly he had so many athletes who are so good that he might have just let up on them or whatever he will, but not gotten his personality onto that football team.
You know, one thing that Alabama's defense this year, we're seeing they're calling a penalty on Alabama's defense.
That's 300 pounds of full force coming right down on top of him. Griffith, another punt. Chris will let that one bounce. And LSU downs at about the 8-yard line.
I think we'll see maybe some of the front line guys, but I bet he puts some of the second group in there and gives them a chance to play here late in the game.
Uh-oh. Breaking free, number 27, Vincent Fuller, and he's brought down at about the 13-yard line. So
the game over at Georgia, the come from behind loss, or take that away or take the block punt away. Against Florida, and Alabama's right at the top of the SEC standing as they've played as a team. One guy may not have a good game one week, but they're pulling together. And win, lose, or draw, you just got to respect that. And a lot of the credit has to go to the Alabama coaching staff for keeping everybody together here in those first 3 weeks.
Well, that's Alabama football.
as the clock ticks down, the crowd celebrates.
You got to wonder what's going through Mike Archer's mind right now. A man on a hot seat down in Baton Rouge.
The final 24-3, and for the first time since he arrived at Tuscaloosa, Gene Stallings can look back and say, I'm over 500. 5 victories, 4 defeats.